I went to the beach today. I wanted some time to unwind and feel the sun on my skin. It is so healing to have your feet buried in the sand, the warm sun beating on your skin, and the breeze flowing through your hair. It restores my sanity. I brought my watercolor sketchbook with me. It brings me so much joy and peace. If you ever have the opportunity to paint or draw at the beach, it is the most grounding experience. Once I got home and I showered, I started my new painting. I'll get into the inspiration behind it in a moment. I had a little friend in my studio with me today. I may have mentioned in previous videos, but whenever my best friend goes on vacation, I babysit her Siberian kitty. I wasn't much of a cat person till Barrick, but maybe because he's my nephew or my Aries brother, I may have changed my mind a bit. His birthday is just a few days before mine. It's crazy how uncat-like he is. It could be his breed, but he plays fetch. He doesn't mind being picked up or having his belly or tail rubbed, and is such a curious little man. My experience with cats prior to him has always been that they hide under furniture or they scratch or bite you if you come near, and he's such a friendly, cuddly little guy. I needed to pick up some supplies, so I headed over to my local art supply store. I don't know about you guys, but I have a problem at art stores. I can never leave without spending too much money. I always get so enthralled with everything and want to try out all the new little knickknacks that they have. This time, I don't know what possessed me to splurge a bit, but I bought a few things that I've been eyeing for a while, but have never bought them because of the price. I got the Archie's rough press paper. I wanted to try out the rougher texture paper since I always stick to the cold press. I also heard so much about the Archie's paper that I wanted to see if it was worth the hype. I also got some paints and the Daniel Smith watercolor stick because I know that it's a very popular brand among a lot of artists, and I wanted to try it out and see if the pigment was nicer than some of the watercolors I currently own. So I just picked out one stick in a color that stuck out to me, and that's what I decided to take home with me. My boyfriend was really sweet and surprised me when we got home with the Faber-Castell pencils. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I have no idea how he managed to sneak them while we were in the store, but it was so nice. And I have never allowed myself the privilege of buying these pencils, but they are definitely worth it. They are so nice to use, and I have not put them down. They are just phenomenal. Right back into my painting. The inspiration for this painting started with scrolling through Pinterest. I have recently become a Pinterester, and I am a little bit obsessed. It is a great way to view images without the distraction of typical social media. I've been studying facial anatomy changes with different emotions, so that was my base for my new painting. I did a few thumbnails and mock-ups in my sketchbook to get an idea of the energy I wanted to bring forth. I also looked at an emotional wheel to see the descriptive words for the emotions I wanted to convey. Last summer, I read a book on emotional intelligence, and in this book, the author had an emotional wheel with descriptive words that went much deeper than just the typical anger, sadness, happiness. And so I made a photocopy of it, and I keep it in my sketchbook with me all the time because it helps me visualize the story for my characters in my head. Once I had the thumbnails figured out, I moved to find my final references for the painting. I try to use different images for references in order to build a piece. I will usually stitch them together in Photoshop or just use them side by side depending on the scenario. The next painting I decided to do was one from Stranger Things. I think like many people this summer, I have been obsessed with Stranger Things, but to be honest, I had to go and rewatch season 2 and 3 because they took so long to release the new season that I completely forgot what happened. I always forget how good this show is. I loved one's character arc, and I decided I wanted to paint him, but I wanted to take a little bit of a spin on just painting him straight from like a screen grab. I saw this photo of this bird a while back on Pinterest, and I've been wanting to incorporate it into a piece, but I just didn't really know what piece was right for it. It reminded me of one because the eyes were so eerie and creepy. I don't know what type of bird this is, probably some type of bird of prey, or it's photoshopped, who knows. I brought both images, so the screen grab I had of one and the bird, and I started to play in Photoshop, and once I was satisfied, I got to it. I'm using the Daniel Smith watercolor crayon. I believe in Platho Green. I wanted the skin color to have a greenish blue undertone to give it a more creepy feeling. For the eyes, I decided to block them out with masking fluid. I got the Daniel Smith masking fluid from the art store as well to try out. I don't have any masking fluid in my collection for some reason, even though I have copious amounts of art supplies, but I've never really used it in my watercolor work, so I wanted to grab it, try it out, see how it works. I definitely think it was a great option, like if you need to keep an area super white and clear, it was definitely worth it. So I decided to add the feathers to the painting, and wow, did it not turn out how I planned in my head. Granted, the sketch wasn't great either, but I figured, I'll figure it out in the large one. But wow, that was a bad idea. I like the face and the colors on it, so I was a little disappointed when I ruined it with the background. The next morning, I decided to erase the mess I created the night prior. If you take a brush with some water and a paper towel and you rub it on the spot that you want to erase with watercolors, you'll get it off more or less. Keep in mind, if it's a very deep tint of a red or a blue, the color will still stay in the paper, but you can get it off enough that you can cover it. So I erased all the feathers and I went in with some gouache so it would cover the color a little bit better than just straight watercolor. I decided just to go back to the reference of one and do the collared shirt as is and keep the background simple. I still like the idea of having the veiny eyes, so I was going to see how the painting flowed and decide what to do with the eyes in a bit. I decided to do the eyes off camera because of the very small details, and after the eyes I added the red splatter, which was my favorite part to do. I love doing a good splatter, and I wanted to have it like very bloody, like when he, attacked in the lab, that type of vibe. And now we're done, and thank you so much for watching today's video. Until next time.